Hello, everyone. This is Jorge Guadalupe Ibarra Gonzalez, aka Junior with Team IRG, and we're here for another Des Moines Metro Market update for July 2024. And alongside me, we also have Mr.
My name is Ryan Coy, Director of Operations for Team IRG, and we also have below me.
I am Anthony Simon, an agent with Team IRG. All right, so we're just gonna kind of jump right into market stats. Looking back at July for Des Moines, with again kind of our normal caveats of this is kind of looking at the metro proper. About it's a 14.5 mile radius from roughly the geographic center of Des Moines, and we're looking at single family housing only. So jumping in, median sale price. Um, Again, we kind of expected June, right around June, to be the peak, and it looks like we've kind of fallen off a little bit. That was 338 down to 334 for July. Still, I mean, the gap is still trending pretty spot on for kind of that 5 to 6% increase over last year. Um,
Oh,
but yeah, still trending normally.
Yep. So again, here it's good to see this for our metro, just as a reminder, because everything's hyper local. There have been some markets where you haven't seen a 5 to 6% year-over-year increase. We actually had suspected that it would be closer to 3 to 4%. Yet with Des Moines still having an inventory shortage overall in those below 400,000 price points, you can see that it's actually a little bit above that, so closer to that 5 to 6%. And that gap between the light blue and the green there between 2023 and 2024 is a lot bigger gap than what you saw in light blue versus yellow, right? So that's how you can visually tell that it'll be a little bit more this year. So far, at least that's what it's trending.
The good news is it's not as big as it was from 2000, 2021 to uh, 2022 with a 15% increase.
yeah.
That was a lot to stomach for the metro, and we like to see slow, steady changes.
Yeah. Yeah, orange to gray, 11%, gray to yellow, 15%. Like that was not sustainable, right? So we're back more to normal, right? In this post-COVID world.
Yep. All right, days on market. June was 7 days. We're kind of up to July. Again, very typical. We start to see stuff slow down just a little bit when the state fair starts happening, or like getting ready for state fair, end of summer. People are taking their last minute vacations before school starts. Kind of July, August. There's still a lot of business going, but it's kind of usually past the peak of June. Starting to see stuff slow down ever so slightly, kind of coming into the fall.
Yeah, you could tell, I guess, in light blue last year, it looks like about half that. So, I mean, we are seeing an uptick in inventory, which you'll see here in a little bit, but still 9 days on market, still obviously a seller's market in most price points, and you'll start to see the trickle up. We'll probably still be above the light blue trend line, which the highest it got in towards the latter of last year, going into Q4, was in December, close to 20 days. So we'll see where this takes us for the second half of the year.
All right, we're going to keep on moving. Number of houses sold. So we saw a little bit of a downtick in June. Again, following the trend of for July, almost every single July we've had kind of a downward trend. Things just again kind of slowing down a little bit off the peak of June, and no different this year. If we look at year-to-date totals, we were still basically nearly flat for what we did last year. Within 70 houses, units sold over 7 months of the year. So plus or minus 10 houses a month um, is pretty much flat from last year for number of units sold.
What do you guys think that June was from? Like just that jet down versus the prior 3 years where it's like an uptick up.
That's a good question.
That is a very good question, and I'm not sure. I know me personally. I have quite a few pre-approved buyers, and they're just not they're just not kind of making decisions as quickly, which is fantastic that we're not having to look at a house and make a decision within a few minutes. But a lot of my buyers are taking a couple of days to a couple of weeks, and um, just it just feels like they're taking their time to make these decisions. And if that's what's happening with more people, then we're going to kind of see transactions start to slow down just a little bit, which isn't a bad thing. But we're still obviously selling houses, 720 a month. It's still quite a few, but it's just a
Yeah.
little bit slower than what we've seen the last few years.
Yeah, that's still a lot of houses. And that's the beautiful thing about real estate. It's, everyone's always looking to buy and everybody's always looking to sell. My prediction, you know, in regards to what Ryan's question in regards to why June didn't peak out like typical is like, I don't know, I think everyone's really like top of mind with what the economy's doing and interest rates, like the talk about interest rates falling and this and that, which actually happened these last couple of weeks, right? This is the lowest interest rates we have seen. They're actually in the fives now, that we've seen in the last 12 to 18 months here for our metro market. And so we did see just this week alone, we saw a quick influx of people pulling the trigger. I think capitalizing on that because we had, I think, like 5 to 7 deals go pending here within the last few days. And so I think there's just a little bit of that. They're like, what's going to happen with interest rates, with the economy doing what it's doing? Obviously, the presidential election getting closer and closer. So I think there's a little bit of that and a little bit of hesitation to kind of see what's going to happen, with the buyers and sellers before they officially pull the trigger. So I think after the presidential election, we'll see quite a bit of an uptick going into my prediction, going into 2025 and beyond, so we'll see the reality of it. But just to kind of reflect a little bit again between 2022 and 2023, where we did see, the interest rates essentially double within a 1 year time span. You see the difference there. It went down quite a bit. So when I do the math and divide 44.74 by 57.10, that's about, let's see what the calculator said, 78%. So a 22% drop in units sold. And then this year, now rates haven't been as volatile as they were during that time frame, and so that's
Yay.
why, yeah, right, yay, because that was some crazy times. We literally interest rates were like going up, up, up every 2 weeks. So now they've been pretty stable. Now they're starting to come down, and that's why I think we see the flat year over year trend from 23 to 24. And I predict that coming into 2025, we'll start seeing, that uptick back to maybe 2022 or 2021 type numbers.
And for sure, I think like the volatility that's been happening the last 2 years, even with home insurance rates, right? Like we've seen those almost double too, and that's not insignificant when you're thinking about a house payment too. So I feel like our buyers are having to think a lot more than they used to as far as like what's it going to cost to have my home. So good point.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and tying in right with that, right, is interest rates have kind of come down a little bit, but now insurance is almost double what it was
Double.
about a year ago. So payments are still the same for what they were last year, which I think is a, I mean, meaning buying power is still about the same for what it was last year, and that's why I think we're seeing kind of a flat. It's being flat this year. Is that nothing's, as far as what they can buy for the house, even though rates have come down from the high sevens. Um, yeah, we're buying power is about the same.
Yep. Nope. It'll be exciting to
All
see
right,
what how it plays out for sure.
100%. So looking at number of houses sold kind of per price point, per $50,000 price point, we tend to be right around 80% is right in that $400,000 or less. And every once in a while we'll kind of teeter up to 450. So right now it's 450 and under. This last month in July was 81% of all the deals done in the Des Moines metro. So again, the vast majority of stuff kind of hovers unsurprisingly right in that 3 to 350 range, which is kind of where their median was at, like 334. It's yeah, right in that range.
Yeah. So like you said, we teeter totter between 80% of all the units sold, going back and forth at 4 to 450, right? So in this case, it hovered over the 450 marker, but that's just the majority of the metro, which coincides with like what you said, the 334. So it's good to see. I mean, that's just normal for our market.
Yeah, and again, that sounds high. Looking back, even 5 years for Des Moines, you're like, oh my goodness, that's that's a big price increase. But when you start venturing out to larger metros like Omaha, Kansas City, Minneapolis, 350 is not their median price. Their median price
No.
is a little bit higher. So Des Moines seems expensive, but even venturing a couple hours away, pricing is 30-40% more for the same type of property.
Yeah, it'd be cool. We should do a video just for fun one of these days of like what is the average price point in different cities throughout the metro compared to Des Moines. And then another one that would be fun would be like, what is the big like every decade, what was the starting average price point at the beginning of the decade, and what was the end price point at the end of the decade here for our metro area to kind of see what that trend has been.
Yeah. All right. So looking at new listings, so we have seen a little bit of an uptick after kind of a slowdown in June. Um, for new listings hitting the market. At 895, still lower than what we've seen the last few years in general. More than last July, but just the trend line in general, we're just again things are just moving a little bit slower. And the inventory just is slowly recovering, but it's not quite what we'd like to see as the normal. Um, but still trending what we've seen the last year at least.
Yeah. How's that compared to, oh, well, that's the next slide is active listings overall. What's that look like?
Yeah, so that previous slide kind of rolls into this where yeah, we're seeing again inventory pickup from 2023 being really low, the lowest we've seen in a long time. We're now over that by a little bit, but every little bit counts, especially when we're talking under 2,000 active listings in the market, where again looking back to 2020, 2021, 2019, 3,500, 3,800. So still being 40% of what we'd like to see in July for active listings.
Yeah, so be ready to hear, like I don't like to get into politics a whole lot, but you'll hear a lot of how different parties plan to solve this problem because this is a problem, right? Like pre-COVID is more
Yes.
normal for active inventory and listings, and man, we are just way below that. And so for us to see a more balanced market or healthier market and choices and affordability to be there, we need more inventory. So it'll be interesting. I'll be paying attention to some of those discussions during the upcoming political debates on what the ideas are for helping with inventory, and some of that just needs to be even here for us locally, for those of you that are out there listening, to talk to your local advocates and community advisors to, ease up on regulations for builders to allow for maybe higher density in certain areas or just easier path for development and to allow for more and more construction to come into fruition and are some of the ways that maybe we can have discussions and come up with ideas to continue to help with the solution of this, because this will be an issue for the foreseeable future, for the next 5, 10, 15 years on how we can help with this so that affordability is still there for everyone that can reach for it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, inventory is going to take a long time to recover. And even if, I mean, you have a builder who's like, you know what, let's start building houses today. Before they break ground, before they even get their first house done, is like multiple years. So that's where a lot of this stuff can lag behind. Even if there's massive changes to new construction incentives next year or 2 years from now, it's still going to be 5-10 years before we really start seeing the impact of that. Even though we're having the issue now, um, which is you know, that's the way it works. That's real estate. What's kind of crazy to me to think is, you know, we still have 900 new construction houses out there. We saw resale tick up a little bit more, but it feels like everywhere you look in the metro, there's stuff being built, and that's still not nearly enough. So it'd be crazy if we got to the level we need to be to start really recovering inventory, because it already feels like there's a lot of new construction.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And I mean, the good thing is too, as a team, we have some exciting news going into next year and the following year with some new partners coming to fruition with us on the new construction world. So stay tuned for some of those big announcements as we continue to lean on what works for us, which is, showing up, doing the right activities, which lead to the right results. And like we like to say on the team, work works, and we're very, very blessed to have new partnerships that are going to be part of the solution providers for this in our metro market, and we'll be announcing those in the near future.
Yes, very exciting stuff. Um, that's really it. Kind of looking, I mean, kind of the recap for July is everything's kind of steady. We're starting to see the little bit of slowdown kind of coming into the fall like we expect, but the market's been steady this year, and um, really that's great after the multiple years of just craziness to have something steady and slowly kind of recovering. But as always, you know, we're here to we're ultimately we're here to try to provide information so that people can make informed decisions, and that's what we're hoping to do with these videos.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Anthony said it best there. We're here to provide information. Again, keep in mind whether, you like real estate is so hyper local, so high, even to the point where it's like you're on one street and literally 3 blocks away, it could be a whole nother market within itself. And so if you ever just need information so that you can make those informative decisions, like Anthony said, or anything we can do to provide value, whether it's even a simple question on the phone or a resource to connect you to, anything that has to do with real estate at all in any spectrum of real estate, we either know, usually it's never the what, it's always the who, and we can make those connections. And if we don't know how or who, we will find out who they are and provide you that value in any capacity that we can. So thank you again for listening to another video and watching another video, and we hope to catch you on the next one. Vámonos, let's go.